You open your banking app the morning after payday, expecting to feel calm for once, and instead you see it. Your checking account is already lower than you thought it would be. A couple of charges you forgot about, a small night out, a subscription you swear you canceled. And then the credit card balance is still sitting there, like it didn't even notice you made a payment. If that's been your loop, the problem usually isn't that you're irresponsible, it's that credit card interest is quietly taxing your future, and it's designed to be invisible day to day. You don't feel it when you tap your card. You feel it weeks later when progress stalls. Here's the part people miss. The real enemy isn't the card itself, it's present bias. Your brain values right now more than later. So a $38 delivery order today feels small, but paying 24% APR on last month's choices feels abstract. Add the convenience premium, delivery fees, apps, buy now, pay later, subscriptions, and suddenly your spending is constantly slightly inflated. Then lifestyle creep steps in. You start spending like the person you want to be, not the person your numbers can currently support. And because credit cards separate the purchase from the pain shows up as interest, not as a moment where you can easily say no. If you've been beating yourself up, I want you to drop that. You don't need more motivation. You need a setup. A setup makes the good choice easier than the expensive one, and it makes the expensive choice harder to repeat.
And here's why minimum payments feel like quicksand. Minimums are designed to keep you current, not to get you out. If your minimum is, say, $90 and about $60 goes to interest, only $30 is actually reducing the balance. That's why you can pay every month and still feel broke and stuck. Now, the two fixes. Fix number one is structural. Stop new interest from forming faster than you can pay it off. That means you need a clean plan for the balance you already have and a clean plan for your spending going forward. A common approach is to pick one payoff method and make it automatic. If you're motivated by quick wins, consider the snowball method. You pay extra on the smallest balance first while making minimums on the rest. If you're motivated by pure math, consider avalanche. You pay extra on the highest APR first. Either one can work. The real win is consistency. But here's the key move most people skip. You also reduce the card's ability to keep adding new balance while you're trying to pay it down. Consider lowering the credit limit, locking the card in a drawer, or switching your daily spending to a debit card for a season. Not forever, just long enough to break the cycle of pay it down, then refill it. Let's make it realistic. Say you bring home $3,200 a month. Rent and utilities, $1,550. Groceries, $350. Car, gas, transit, $250. Phone and insurance, $220. Minimum credit card payment, $90. That's $2,460 before you've lived a life.
That leaves $740. And if you don't assign that money, it will disappear into convenience spending and social spending. That's not a character flaw. That's how defaults work. So you choose an extra payment target. Maybe it's $300 per month toward the card. If the balance is $3,000, that's a real plan. Not instant, not magical, but real. And you keep your lifestyle stable while you do it. Fix number two is behavioral. Remove the interest trap by building a buffer, so you don't need the card for surprises. Most credit card debt doesn't come from one huge mistake. It comes from normal life without a cushion. A tire, a medical copay, a flight home, a birthday, a week where work hours get cut. Without a buffer, the card becomes your emergency fund, and then the emergency fund charges interest. So your second fix is to create two small buffers, a starter emergency fund and sinking funds. A starter emergency fund is just enough cash to prevent I had no choice moments. For many people, $500 to $1,000 is a common first target, not because it solves everything, but because it stops the bleeding. It buys you time. Sinking funds are even more powerful. They're mini savings buckets for predictable expenses that still feel like surprises. Car repairs, gifts, travel,
annual subscriptions, medical, moving. If you set aside even $25 per paycheck into a car bucket, then when something happens, you don't swipe the card and start the interest clock again. Now, I can already hear a common question. Should I build an emergency fund or pay off debt first? A common approach is both in a specific order. First, get a small buffer, something like $500, so you don't immediately go back into debt. Then focus hard on the card. Once the card is under control, expand the emergency fund. This is educational, and your situation might be different, but that structure works for a lot of people because it reduces relapse.
Let's address the mistakes that keep people stuck. Mistake 1, relying on minimum payments and hoping expenses magically calm down. Quick fix, choose one extra payment amount and automate it right after payday. Mistake 2, not changing the spending system. You can't outpay a habit you keep repeating. Quick fix, separate spending money from bill money. Even one simple bills-only checking account can make overspending obvious. Mistake 3, using the credit card for convenience while in payoff mode. Quick fix, switch recurring bills to the card if you pay it in full, but for daily spending, go debit or cash for a month. You're reducing temptation, not punishing yourself. Mistake 4, celebrating progress by upgrading your lifestyle. That's lifestyle creep. Quick fix, pick one small fun line item and keep it steady while you're paying down debt so you don't burn out. And one more curiosity loop before we wrap. The goal isn't to hate credit cards. The goal is to become the person who never pays interest. That's the line. If you use a card for rewards and protection and you pay it off every month, great. If you're carrying a balance, the card is no longer a tool. It's a subscription to expensive money. So here's the calm recap. Credit card interest keeps you broke because it quietly takes your monthly cash flow and slows your progress. The two fixes are 1, a simple payoff structure that stops new interest from piling up and makes extra payments automatic. 2, a buffer system. Starter emergency fund plus sinking funds so normal life stops turning into revolving debt. Your 7-day challenge is simple. For the next week, do 2 things. First, pick one number, your automatic extra payment. Even if it's $25, set it up. Second, start one sinking fund. Choose the most likely surprise in your life, car, medical, gifts, and set up an automatic transfer of any amount into a separate savings bucket. If you want help, I'll put a simple checklist and a 1-page template in the pinned comment so you can plug in your numbers and choose your next move. Educational only, not financial advice.